Hey everybody, Scott from Watch You Seek, and today we're going to look at the Alexander Shorokhoff Regulator watch. Now, Alexander Shorokhoff is a German watch manufacturer. They've been around for about 25 years. Alexander is originally from Russia, and this watch is a regulator watch. And what that means is that the hours, the minutes, and the seconds are broken up into their own dial. So instead of having the three hands coaxially mounted traditionally on a watch, here we have the hours over on this subregister, or subdial, we have the seconds, and then here in the center, running around here, is the minutes. Now this goes back to clocks when clock makers would have a clock in their shop that they would set all the other clocks to, the regulator clock, and for ease of reading an accurate time, because they would use the most accurate movement for this regulator, the dial of the watch was separated up into different subdials. And in most cases, you would have an individual dial, so it's easier to see. And on a clock with a larger dial, of course, it's easier to break all that up. Here on a watch, we're limited with our real estate. So these guys here, the seconds and the hours, kind of eat into each other a little bit. So let's get into some of the specifics on the size of this regulator watch. We have a diameter of 43.5 millimeters. We have a height of 13.2. We have a lug-to-lug width here of 50 millimeters, a strap width of 22 millimeters, and the case is made out of stainless steel. We have some brushed parts here on the top, polished parts here on the top, and brushed here on the side. And you can see here we have some engraving. This is number 14 of 98. And yes, this is a limited edition of 98 pieces. A lot of their watches are limited editions. This has a water resistance of 5 atmospheres. And the back, we have an exhibition case back showing you that lovely hand engraved, manually wound mechanical movement back there. The case back is held in with 7 screws, and we do have some engraving around the back of the case. We'll start with the details on the front here, and then we'll work our way back here to the back. Let's start with this beautiful champagne dial. So here we go. We have a better view of this dial. Now there's a lot going on with the dial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the outside and kind of work our way in. On the very outside of the dial, you can see this pattern of the champagne with a light and a dark square, and that works its way all the way around. And what's neat about that is the inside flange of this dial here, the case, it picks up a little bit of the reflections of that light and the dark. Moving in, we have a railroad track in this white color. I can't tell if it's white or an off-white, maybe an ivory, or perhaps the white's just picking up some of the champagne color. And we have markers here that are a little thicker here for the hours here, so that the ones, the twos, and then we have smaller markings that for the minutes here, because this whole big outside area here is only the minutes, and the hour is handled by this center section here. We have this beautiful, they call it a stripe guilloche around here in a circular pattern from this part going into the railroad tracks. And you can see the way that it picks up the light. You have a really cool pattern. We have the name Alexander Shorokhoff with the logo here right at 3 o'clock. We have 60 here. This is definitely a fun watch to look at with a loop. Once you put a loop on and start looking, you pick up a lot of different details. And then moving in from this circular pattern, we have a repeating of on a smaller scale, but we have these squares here, the light and the dark, and then we have the same thing here with the light and the dark. In the middle here, you can see this lovely hand finishing on the skeletonized, I wouldn't call this a skeletonized dial, but semi-skeleton. So you can see into some of the movement here. Over here, this is the seconds and the date area. We have an open date disk. You can see that it's moving across here. Some of the mechanism here for adjusting the date. We can see we got the window right here showcasing the date here that today is the 9th. There are little marks here moving around the second hand or the sub-second dial, and then it's interrupted by this hour. We have this white area here for the hours with markings here for the hours. We have a numeral here for 12 and 6, and we have this beautiful sunbeam guilloche here pattern in the hour. Really makes this subdial stand out from both the circular pattern here and then this skeletonized version here for the seconds. And one thing I really like is the continuation of the seconds here is you see how it abruptly stops here at the white, but yet we have these little markers here. So visually, we see this circle continuing all the way around underneath and kind of over the circle for the hours. The hands are blued hands, and these are true blued hands. So when you're looking at them, the way the camera's picking it up, you really see them as black. And see if I can turn here so you can start to see some of that blue finish. There we go, right there in the center on the minute hand there, pick up some of the blue. And you can see there the way it's picking up the highlight and shadows. These hands are curved hands. In other words, they are, whoops, dropping my little piece of PVC here. They are not flat, okay? So they will pick up some highlights and shadow as it moves around on your wrist. Lovely shape here, maybe a leaf shape, however you want to call that. And then down here on the hours, we have this spade. Same kind of thing here. It has a slope or a shape to it, so it really does pick up the highlight and shadow. I do think the whole dial is very cohesive in how it all works. So it's easy to see, here is my hours, here is my minutes, and then we have the running seconds there. And then the hand finishing in here is beautiful. We do have some blued screws, and you can see some of the rubies, more so as we go on to the back side here. So there we go. I'm going to hold it here and just kind of move it around so you can see some of the finishing. One of the things I really enjoyed was this wheel here. You can kind of see how it had some machine turning on it, but towards the center it was polished off, so it's almost like a ghost on this flat piece here. But this is all hand finished. We can see we have the logo here from the Alexander Shorokhoff right there on this balance cock going out here. A lot going on. Fun to just sit and look at the back of this. This is a mechanical hand-wound movement. The movement is the caliber 3105 AS, and this is based on a Poliet movement here. It has a power reserve of 42 hours. It is not a hacking movement, and it has what I call a semi-quick set date. So the way that this works I will advance here, so let's see if we can get and as we're moving through here, you can see this here change and circle around. So the engraving on the front of this wheel here will change. Your view will change of that throughout the day. Let's get the date to change here. So we're on the 9th, and then it's going to change here to the 10th. Now to advance, if I want to go to the 11th, I go back, and then I move forward again, and then I advance there. So not as quick as a fully quick set date that we're used to, but I don't have to wind through to adjust the date. It's just a simple, you move forward, you back up, you move forward. So That's the caliber 3105.AS. So let's get this Alexander Shorokhoff on the wrist. So here is the Alexander Shorokhoff Regulator on the wrist. And like I said earlier, this watch is a 43.5 millimeter, which is a little on the larger side. And I was a little nervous when I was reading the specs about this, but it is extremely comfortable on the wrist. You can see the lugs here are very short lugs. And as we can see here, they curve down. The lug to lug distance here is 50 millimeters. And the way that where the location of where the holes for the spring bar, it just hugs your wrist, the way that this, you can see the strap, how it comes down here. I brought this out to a Red Bar meetup last week, and folks were trying it on, and the comment that I kept getting was how comfortable this watch really is. I think the short lugs, so the distance here, the way it sits on your wrist, is one part, but the other part, which I haven't talked about yet, is this incredibly comfortable strap. Usually when I review watches, I poo-poo straps a lot. And I think manufacturers, they put their money into the watch, and a strap, yeah, they pick something out. This strap is divine. I want this strap for some of my other watches that I have. So this is a leather strap. You can see with some contrast stitching, has a lovely pattern in here. We have a signed buckle, a brushed buckle down here. But the comfort of this strap is just phenomenal. And I talked about the placement of this strap here on the lugs here, and I'm going to take this off. Let's see if we can see in here. There is two positions. You can see we have another, I don't know if we can focus here. There are two positions to where I can move this strap. So if for whatever reason I didn't find this position here to be comfortable, which sits kind of high, and if I wanted to move the strap down there, I could. So I like just the simple fact of having two positions for the strap. You can really dial in this watch to be comfortable on your wrist. And we do have a little bevel to this glass here, so that sits a little proud and allows the lugs down here to really curve down on your wrist. So if you haven't figured out, all in all, this Alexander Shorokhoff is very comfortable on the wrist. So going back to the case just for a little bit here, I do like the brushed on the side and the polished on the top. Most watches that I've been seeing lately are just the opposite. And a sportier watch might be brushed on the top here and then polished on the side. This gives just a little bit more bling, a little bit more pop. We do have this bevel here. There's a little reveal line there. You can see the way it's picking up the light, then a bevel, and then a slight flat spot there that's polished that goes into the dome crystal. So a lot going on with the case, the way that it picks up the light. The crown is a nice sized crown, easy to pull this out and adjust the time, wind the watch if I need to. The crown is signed in here. It says Alexander Shorokhoff with the logo, and it has kind of a bead blasted matte background in there. There is a slight bevel that goes down to the knurled part of the crown itself. So a lot of really thoughtful touches into this watch, and this is one of the watches where you just put it on and you're sitting there reading or something, you take it off and you're looking at it, you get kind of distracted. There's a lot of cool little touches. So my takeaway on this watch is it's a lot of fun. I like the kind of the traditional thing with the guilloche and the hand engraving on this watch. That part is a lot of fun. I like the back when we look at that, the way that you see all the handwork back there. I like the comfort, and I like the attention to detail on picking a strap that one visually works with this watch. I think that complements the champagne dial perfectly, but it is so comfortable. You can see the thickness on that. Once this breaks in, and there's not going to be much break in because you can see how pliable that is. So really a nice touch to include such a high quality strap with this watch. And so this is just a fun, unique watch, limited edition, 98. You're not going to go to a meetup and see if anybody in the same crowd with this same watch. And here's the kicker. This guy is $2,400 US dollars. And yes, $2,400 is a lot of money for a watch, but from a mechanical watch, hand finished. I mean, the finishing on this watch is pretty amazing. In a limited edition of 98, you get a lot of bang for your buck. So once again, this is the Alexander Shorokhoff Regulator, and the specific model on this is the AS-R02-3. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe and leave comments below. Thanks for watching.